All right, what's up, guys? So we just got a new truckload in. We got some native azaleas. We're going to use these for screening. And so during the summertime, they'll be a beautiful green, and during the springtime, they'll bloom beautiful flowers. These get about 13 feet tall. So imagine these right here all lined up across with the trees. So right here we have some Pennsylvania sedge. And my goal for this is I want to make a meditation garden, or more of like a nature bathing section of the woods out here. And so I'm going to line up the entire area with this native sedge here. I also have a different type of sedge. It's called Cherokee sedge, and I'll lay it out there as well. Here we got some ukra. These ukra, they'll grow up, and I believe that these have red flowers, but they'll grow about 3 foot tall, and they love to mark up an entire area. They'll take over an entire area. So we'll be using these. We'll utilize these here at the rooted cabin as well.
Good morning. I'm Owen Rich. We're out here at Bask Retreat Center in the middle of unloading a large truck full of a native cultivated variety of juniper called Juniperus virginiana canardii. And the reason we chose this one for the moss geodome, which is in the distance, for a Japanese-inspired moss garden effect, we liked this cultivated variety because it has these natural arms that expand out, and it's not like an inverted snow cone or ice cream cone. They have arms that kind of span out. And so we're going to be accentuating those arms on each tree after we particularly site and stage them to be pruned. But these are not super common, and these are quite old. They're probably about 15 years old, and they're the perfect size to install. So the goal with these is going to be to create that Japanese garden art-formed tree. They're called niwaki, or garden tree. We're going to be creating that effect with exclusively native plants. Hi everyone, I'm Owen Rich. I'm out here at Bask Retreat Center in the middle of our winter planting phase, and we've received 4 deliveries of plants from multiple native plant suppliers in the area. In this case, it was Samara Farms LLC. That's where we got these native junipers from, and that's where we'll be getting some of our larger material. We also had deliveries from Simple Joy Nursery, as well as Bates Nursery, and Nature's Best in Nolensville. So all of these plants are being installed in various places around the property, and we're using exclusively native plants and cultivated varieties of native plants. We're making this big push now so that in springtime, these trees and shrubs and perennials will have rooted a lot more, and then as they wake up in the springtime, they won't have that initial 1 month of shock that they would receive if we installed them in the springtime. So this gives them the best chance to thrive, and also in terms of a maintenance point of view, we don't have to water them much during the winter when they're dormant, and it aids in the establishment process without a bunch of supplemental irrigation.
Welcome to phase 1 of the Sonic Field. We have just installed the mower shed here where we'll keep our mower and some other supplies with gas. And we have just planted our little miniature pine grove. These are Eastern white pines, also known as Christmas trees. Pinus strobus. And I chose these because they are fast growing, 2 feet a year. So the tallest of these in 3 years will be 18, 20 feet. And that's going to provide us with a lot of really great screening from the road. The topography of this land is very steep. We're in a river valley bottom. So our neighbors and everyone else kind of sees right down into our business. So we're kind of mitigating that with some evergreens. Through here, we'll have an employee sort of break area with a big table. I just talked to Tyler about making a big table with some what we dubbed stump sitters. So we're just going to take some logs and carve out the bum part of the stump so they'll be comfortable to sit in, and probably a dry stacked fireplace area. And then over here, we'll probably build another little lean-to on the left side of the mower shed to put firewood. We're also planting the Eastern red cedar. I'm pretty sure that's what that is, which is really a juniper. And we've got 3 started over there, and then we've bookended over here too as well. And sometimes those are used as Christmas trees. So we should just call this the Christmas tree planting, and it's Christmas. So that makes sense, right? We also have sort of another grove that goes into an understory grove over here, probably with red buds and maybe some service berries and some dogwoods over here. And the reason for that is because we've got power lines. This segment of the property is, you've got power lines running every which way, and you can only plant things that get so high under the power lines. And we've also, you can see where we stopped the grove, and it feels kind of abrupt because of that. But we have plans to bring in some Royo junipers that only get 6 feet tall, and to plant them amongst the understory spring flowering trees. And I think that'll be a nice little segue into the deciduous flowering trees from this miniature pine grove. Originally, the road swooped. How do you say that? Swooped? What is the swept? Swept. Yes, thank you. Originally, the road swept further out into the field, and I was looking at it and I said, we're squishing a lot of our utilities up to the front to give more space for visitor experience. And so we put a few parking spaces up here. We're going to have the propane tank up here. Diesel tank up here, mower shed. And then I was like, why is the road cutting into our beautiful field, which we will be working with SGI to recreate a southern grassland? So I was like, let's move the road back. So we kind of squished the road this way to leave more room for nature. I have a special tree in mind for over here. Well, I have a tree in mind to plant that's special that will go sort of at the point where the service entrance meets the guest entrance. We're still figuring out the names for all this stuff. But I'd like for something kind of pretty. I don't know, maybe it's a weeping cherry or maybe it's robinia. Something there on that corner that will be lovely. So when you turn, you'll have a little point there on the corner. Is there anything else to add? There's a lot more going on here in the Sonic Field, but this is phase one.
I think you're doing a great job of explaining everything. It looks beautiful already. Even since this morning, it's changed.
Right? It's so cool. It's amazing what plants can do.
100%.
They bring something, you know. Did get these from Forest Nursery in McMinnville. I did a lot of searching to find 12-foot Pinostrobus. A lot of them have been pruned to look like Christmas trees. So, and we don't really want that. I don't really want that because I want this to feel as close to natural as possible. I'm hoping when this all matures, it's gonna feel good to walk through here. These will get, over time, like I said, the mature height of these puppies are like 60 to 80 feet tall. So, and then the branching rises up. So you'll basically be able to walk through trunks here. And I'm hoping to get either some Carex Pennsylvanica, which I think maybe this was a clump. There was a clump somewhere. Yeah. Or some evergreen ferns like in the forest floor. So, and again, there also will be some of the pine needles will drop. So it'll be I think it'll have a nice floor out here. So, and I'm excited about the table for, staff out here. It's going to feel good under this. This is a black walnut, and some things don't grow under black walnut. Yeah, there's only a handful of plants that will successfully grow under a black walnut because it's toxic. And I thought it would be cool. I was just talking with Tyler. I thought it would be cool. We'll make this table here. And he was suggesting making it out of walnut and just letting the walnut debris fall on the table and let that be the stain for the table over time. So I like that sort of temporal aspect in anything that we do. I love marking time through nature. So that's important to me.
So we're out here in a section of the forest that I started working on in January. In this 7-acre tract behind me, I probably pushed over 800 dead trees. Just walked up, pushed them, and they were already toast. So before this became Bask Retreat Center, This forest was not maintained for between 30 and 40 years, and it was just allowed to go nuts and to overcompete and have hundreds and hundreds of red maples basically invade this area where they're not traditionally growing. Swamp red maple, or Acer rubrum, likes to grow in low-lying areas, but it is a pioneer species, which is why there were hundreds and hundreds of red maples on this slope, which has traditionally been an oak hickory forest, and before that likely a savanna. So what we're looking at is 30 years of misuse and no forestry management. We've had 6 different forestry consultants, as well as SGI, Southeastern Grasslands Institute, come out, and they've all advocated for the same thing, which is to continue thinning the forest to making it a more open canopy with better airflow and light flow so that the understory can restore itself. The first step was cutting down trees, but one of the next steps is going to be controlled burns, and we'll likely be doing one of those next month in one of 3 tracts over the 7 acres. You never really want to burn a whole area at once, according to SGI. You want to burn it in tracts so that the plants and animals can recover and you're not stressing the entire population. You know, the animals can escape the fire and so forth. So we're going to be following their protocols to the letter, and we're looking forward to rejuvenating this section of the forest. Hi everyone, I'm Owen Rich. I'm out here at Bask Retreat Center, and in particular, we're next to the new honey cabin, and we're about halfway through with the installation of all of the native plants. And so if you look right here, you'll see that there are native ferns. This one in particular is a grape fern. So we've already got plants within 5 or 6 feet of the construction site that are responding to the new sunlight. And we're making sure that we dodge those, of course. If you walk up here, you'll see that there are native sedges, ferns, and heuchera that are installed throughout this area. And the best part is you can't really tell what we just installed, and that was on purpose, right? As we come up the hill a little further, you'll see that we have blueberries, these ones with the tags, and we're going to put about 5 or 6 different cultivated varieties of blueberries throughout this area so that we have honeybees visiting regularly. We are preserving some of the smaller seedling trees, and those are going to be pruned into artistic forms. But the goal for this space is to look out the window of the honey cabin and see the understory clearly. So most of the plants that I chose for this area do not get taller than a foot. So like this little guy here is Carex pennsylvanica. This is a suitable lawn replacement plant. If you have a shady lawn area where grass cannot grow, this is a no-mow lawn option. And then again, as I said, the heuchera here in the front are about 10 years old, and they were 1-gallon plants. But when those flower with 2-foot white spikes of flowers, the seeds are going to fall and spread throughout the area and cover the whole hillside for us. So the goal here with most of the planting projects at Bask is to make sure that what we put here can spread and we're not fighting it, right? We're not trying to create new problems. We're trying to solve habitat destruction and forestry misuse and make it better. And so all of the plants that we're choosing, they can quote unquote escape. We can let them loose. They could spread for 10 years and it wouldn't hurt a thing. Hi everyone, I'm Owen Rich. I'm out here at Bask Retreat Center's honey cabin plant installation. This is phase 1 of our installation for this area. And one of the most important things about the honey and roots cabin is that they feel secluded in the woods. And Eileen chose a paint color that helps them blend in when the trees are leafed out, which is this beautiful green color. And the areas surrounding the cabins are being designed in such a way that when visitors are here to experience the forest, they won't really interact with the honey or roots cabin directly, and people will have, unlimited privacy. So in order to achieve that, we're thinning the canopy around us. We started that in March, and we're going to be selectively removing trees so that the remaining trees get stronger and more full. Then in February, we're going to plant more blueberries like this, probably in the 4 to 6 foot range, and we'll have at least 5 cultivated varieties of blueberries that will cross-pollinate and blooms at different times. One of the guest experience goals that I have is to add as many different types of the same plant in a given area so that the bloom season is extended and not just a week, for example. If you have 5 different cultivated varieties of blueberries, they'll be blooming and starting and stopping sort of staggered. So you might even get 2 months worth of blooms of blueberries this way. And so with most of the species that I'm utilizing for the project, that's one of our goals.
These, little places out and about this land in nature, an hour and a half away from civilization, it's just, it's a place for your imagination to run wild in a different way than your imagination will run wild being surrounded by art and architecture and other doing creative stuff. This taps into like a different part of your brain that these are things that have been here for, like the trees and like water. It's like rocks. They've been here for hundreds of years. And so you're actually being inspired by the longevity, but also the temporariness of nature. Like a tree blooms and dies every year, but also that tree's been here for 100 years. The water is always here, but it erodes different paths throughout the landscape as well. Shape-shifting it, like 10 years ago, it looked different than this. There's a dam up there now, so the water is flowing this way now. Like all these things are temporary and permanent at the same time. And I think that's beautiful because when you're making art, you're making something temporary and permanent at the same time. It might be a temporary piece, but it might last permanently in somebody's mind, in their imagination, in their consciousness of being inspiring to somebody else. And having no technology, no service, using my own, just staring out into the distance, using my own brain to imagine different things is rewarding and challenging at the same time, and I like this area because of rocks, because I love making furniture pieces out of rocks. Like right now I'm doing a lot of woodwork for this land in the cabin, but like there's something about how a rock or a stone, one of the hardest natural objects in nature, is so easily shaped and formed by something as soft and formless as water, just from time passing it by of erosion, or just a constant like beating or dripping can really form something like a rock. And then you have an endless amount of shapes and arrays that a rock can be formed into as well. But all that to be said, I think there's more to get out of nature when you just sit there and listen, rather than trying to force yourself to create or force yourself to, I have to do this thing, I have to get it done today. It's just like, actually, honestly, just sit there for 2 weeks and see what it has to offer you, really. And honestly, for the first 2 weeks I was out here, that's kind of what I did. Or like first week I was out here, I kind of just walked around, sat around, and the natural shapes and pieces that I saw from the land, I was able to get those, take that material and form it how I saw it in my brain, and then give it right back to the place that I came from. And it's like that quote, the earth has music for those who listen, while also the earth has art for those who seek it, in a way. And I'm out of words.